The winters of the Second World War were an enemy in their own right. Soldiers and civilians alike found themselves battling not just opposing forces, but snow-choked landscapes, frozen supply lines, and deadly cold that could claim a life in mere hours. Yet from that struggle, a quiet ingenuity emerged, a collection of clever, hard-earned survival tricks that time has mostly forgotten. These weren't makeshift gimmicks. They were lessons born from desperation, necessity, and the will to endure when warmth itself became a luxury. Across war-torn Europe, from frozen trenches to crumbling farmhouses, people learned to fight the cold with whatever they had. Heated flat stones, for instance, became the first improvised bed warmers. Soldiers would place them near fires, wrap them in cloths or metal tins, and tuck them under blankets before sleep. That captured warmth often meant the difference between a night's rest and frostbite. No electricity, no extra fuel, just fire, stone, and human resourcefulness. Even snow, the very symbol of the enemy, became an ally. Arctic and Siberian veterans taught that a snow cave or a shallow trench, lined with branches or straw, could trap body heat and block the cutting wind. German troops on the Eastern Front and resistance fighters in Scandinavia survived countless nights this way, sheltered by the very cold that sought to kill them. Wool socks were precious and scarce. Instead, Soviet and Finnish soldiers turned to foot wraps, squares of thick fabric folded around the feet in precise layers. When done right, they absorbed sweat better than socks, dried faster, and reduced frostbite. You could tear a strip from a uniform or a blanket and still have warmth enough to march another day. In cramped dugouts or foxholes, a tin can and a candle could become a tiny heater. Filled with sand or pebbles, the metal absorbed and radiated heat from the flame, offering just enough warmth to thaw fingers and keep spirits alive. Small, discreet, and nearly smokeless, ideal for soldiers who couldn't afford to be seen. Without creams or modern protection, many turned to grease. Literally. A thin layer of animal fat, lard, or even engine oil rubbed onto the skin formed a barrier against frostbite and windburn. It wasn't pleasant, but it worked. In that kind of cold, survival mattered more than smell. When forced to sleep on frozen ground, people laid hay or straw beneath them. A few inches of dry insulation could preserve precious body heat. In barns, foxholes, and abandoned houses, soldiers and refugees alike relied on this simple trick to stay alive through long, dark nights. Even cooking demanded creativity. Fool was rare, so soldiers who set habaks cooking. They'd bring a pot to a boil, then bury it in hay or wrap it in blankets to trap the heat. The meal continued to cook slowly, without wasting another stick of wood or drop of fuel. Another almost lost trick came from the Eastern Front, sprinkling a fine layer of salt inside boots. It absorbed moisture, keeping feet dry and slowing frostbite. It was risky if overdone, but when every step mattered, that small act could save toes from freezing black. Breathing, too, became a battle. Inhaling icy air could damage lungs or trigger coughing fits that gave away positions. Soldiers learned to breathe through layers of wool or scarves stuffed with dry grass, warming the air just enough to stay hidden and alive. Some even turned the cold into a weapon of deception. A frozen canteen left glinting in the snow could draw sniper fire away from a soldier's true position. That fleeting distraction, a trick of light and ice, sometimes meant survival. What makes these wartime hacks so remarkable is their simplicity. They came from people with nothing but determination. No insulated jackets, no thermal blankets, no electric gear, just raw human cleverness. They understood the core truths of survival. Insulate, conserve, adapt, the same principles that could still save lives today. Whether off-grid, in blackouts, or deep in the wilderness, these tricks weren't just about enduring winter. They were about outsmarting it. A reminder that resilience often hides in the smallest, simplest choices. If the lost wisdom of wartime survival fascinates you, and you want to uncover more forgotten techniques buried in diaries, resistance manuals, and old field guides, stay tuned, because this is just the beginning. Subscribe to In the Beginning and help keep these life-saving lessons from vanishing forever.